Hello everyone. I wanted to do this recording on fear because fear is something that's come up so often with so many people I talk to, and it's something that I've struggled with for a long time in my life. Not anymore, but it used to be a predominant factor. So I thought it would be so good to talk about this because it's been coming up quite a bit. So first of all, do you have fear? Do you hold yourself back? Another way of asking this question is, do you hold yourself back? Or do you find yourself saying things like, it's not possible, I don't know how to do this? Or do you find yourself wanting to do something but like just hold off at the last minute? So those are some things that would often go downwards towards fear, okay? And if your answer is yes, I do have fear, I have something very, very amazing to share with you, my 5-step process of how you can overcome fear. But before we do that, I want to dive a little bit deeper into what is fear, how does fear present itself, and because you will get a better understanding of how this is showing up every day in your life. So how does that sound to you? All right. So in my opinion, or all the research I've done, everything that I've seen that fear falls into like 4 main categories. There's fear of failure, which is often the foundational piece of everything. This fear of failure, this fear of making mistakes. Ooh, this is a huge one, guys. This is a huge one because I find people holding themselves back so much because of this fear of making a mistake. Number 3 is fear of judgment. Number 4 is fear of success. Yeah, you have fear of success. There are people who fear success. So let's start with, does any of this resonate for you? So the fear of failure. Fear of failure, I think everybody has it to some extent or the other, but usually that stems from fear of making a mistake, fear of making a wrong choice, fear of doing something that may not lead you to the results that you want. Yeah? And then there's fear of judgment. Fear of judgment, I feel, is so predominant. It's such an ingrained thing in most of us, about fearing what people will say, fearing about being judged, fearing about judging yourself. Like, these things come up quite a bit, okay? And then this fear of success. I'm not going to go deeper into that. They're all interconnected. That's the bottom line, okay? So trust me, I've been there. I've been there. Fear had ruled my life for so long, but it's not only just me. Like, I see this in so many people around me. It comes up so often, like how people hold themselves back because there's this fear of something not working out. And making a mistake, right? Making a mistake, like, people fall into the trap so much. Like, I'm going to make the wrong choice. But what if you operate from the place of like, there is no wrong path. It is just a path. And that's something I'll talk about in my 5-step process. But first of all, I want you to just grasp that these are the main categories that the fear falls into. And if it resonates for you, just sit with that. And so what I want you to start thinking about and processing is, how does fear of making a mistake play in your life? Where do you find yourself kind of like saying, I want to do this, but it might be the wrong choice, so I might not do this? And where do you find yourself not doing something because there's a fear of judgment? Like, you fear that somebody is going to judge you. And, you know, there's that fear of judgment is such a huge thing. It pervades almost everything. But who are you worried about judging you? Who is those people? Then when I was growing up, like, I was often told, like, oh, those people, like you can't do that because what will those people think? I'm like, what the heck is those people? Who the heck are those people, right? So start to like question these things. And often we fear making mistakes because it's a fear of this perfectionism, right? Like, we want it to be perfect. Why do we want it to be perfect? Question those things, like, why do I want this to be perfect? Okay, so I'm going to give you some tips on how you can overcome it. But here's the bottom line, right? Unless you address the root cause, unless you address why this fear is here in the first place, it's going to keep rearing its head up. You can't just talk yourself out of being out of fear. So it's an invitation. Whenever fear shows up, it's an invitation to dive a little bit deeper and to see, where is this fear coming from? That's number one. You know, even Harvard Business School, they published an article saying that how stifling fear doesn't make it go away. It does not make it go away. So you have to address the root cause, and you need to start addressing the top part, which is like taking actions where you're holding yourself back. It has to be done simultaneously. So let's address the root cause first, right? What is fear? Fear is false evidence appearing real. There was I'm going to give you an example. I was told this story when I was growing up, and it's a really interesting, you might have heard it too. So there's a guy walking in the forest. It's dark, and he can see, as he's walking, he sees this thing on the ground, and it's long and kind of windy, and it looks like a snake, and he freezes. He doesn't move because it's like, oh, it's a snake, I can't move. Then as the daylight comes up, he sees that it is a rope. It's not a snake. Classic, right? False evidence appearing real. It is nothing but old programming. Fear is programmed into us from when we are little. Oh, don't do that. You will fall down. Walk like this. Talk like that. Like, all these things are just old programming because that's what our parents were taught. And that has been classic for survival. That is why fear is there. And this fear has to be there for a reason, because, oh, guess what? You can't just walk off into the street and you'll get hit by a car without looking, right? Or you can't touch fire without taking precautions. So this is vital. So fear is there for a reason, but here's the but. You have to evaluate and see, where is this fear serving me and where it isn't. So definitely go a little bit deeper into why is this fear here in the first place. All right. Now the second piece, which is the 5-step process that I said I would give you to overcome fear. Number 1, acknowledge the fear. Don't try to ignore it, because if you try to ignore something, it is going to keep persisting back. Okay, so don't ignore the fear. Just dive a little bit deeper. Why is it here? Put on the hat of curiosity rather than judgment. Why is this fear here? What is it trying to tell me? What do I need to learn from this? Just acknowledging some basic things about fear. The important piece is not staying stuck in your story. Okay. Don't stay stuck in your story. It's more about like understanding it and with the intention of letting it go. Number 2, notice where you feel it in your body. Your body is going to be the first indication where you feel it. Notice it. Again, just be aware of this is how it's showing up. Usually the first and the second things kind of go hand in hand. It might show up in your body first, and then it might show up in your thoughts, or it might show up in your thoughts, and then it might show up in your body. Number 3, breathe. Breathe into that space in your body, so you, with the intention of releasing it. Breathe, because breath is very powerful. It can release those things very quickly. Number 4, focus on something else. Take your attention off of the fear onto something else, whether it is doing the thing you're supposed to do, you were having fear about in the first place, or just go dance, just take a walk, like just move your body and away from it. Why? This is vital. This is extremely vital. So pay attention to this, because like I said, fear is a habit. It's something that you're programmed. So every time you feel fear and you give in to fear, it becomes this neurological, there's a neural pathway firing for fear, and the neural pathway gets more and more ingrained and grooved into your brain, and you don't want that. Okay, so when you take your attention off of that, it will stop your brain from firing those particular neurons on that particular pathway. Does it make sense? Number 5, do it anyways. If you're having fear of public speaking, do it anyways. Remember, fear comes up because you don't feel confident about something. The more you do something, that's how we build competence, right? The more we do something, the more we get better and better and better and better at it. So do it anyways. That's it, guys. If you have any questions, reach out to me. I would love to hop on a call with you. If you'd like to take my offer up on the complimentary call, and I'd like to support you on this journey. All right, take care, guys. Bye.